Namaskaram everyone, this is Vishwaksen and welcome to Vaka Talks. We are doing a small series on what not to say when a victim of abuse shares about their abuse with us. We should not say, why didn't you just leave the situation? Why didn't you just leave the relationship when you were going through so much of abuse? Or there's another version of it that says, you should just move on. Why don't you just move on? This is when they're sharing about their trauma that has happened in the past. So when we tell them to just move on, or why did not they leave the relationship earlier, we are basically blaming them for not taking an action at a proper time. And we are telling them that they are to blame, they are the people who is to blame for their situation, and they are the people responsible for making it worse. And when we tell them to just move on, when they share about their past trauma, we are basically invalidating their trauma. We are telling them that it is insignificant. We are telling them that it's over. You just need to shut the door on that event and move on. It is not as simple as it sounds. They need to unpack, they need to unravel everything that happened in that relationship, and then see, they need to accept that they are not they are not responsible for all the suffering that they went through. When people go through traumatic experiences, when people go through abusive relationships, they blame themselves. When we go through some situations, when we go through trauma, we don't we don't blame the situation, we don't blame everyone else. First one we blame is ourselves. That's what a compassionate and empathetic person does. A compassionate person always blames themselves. We have been blaming ourselves for the situation that we are in, that we are creating, where we are suffering. We have been telling ourselves that we have not been caring for them enough. We have not been reaching their expectations. We have not, we are not sufficient for them. Maybe if I put in more effort, maybe if I put in more time, maybe if I put in more energy, maybe if I do this thing for them, maybe if I try to make them happy. In all these times, they have been using us for the services that we provide. They have been using us as a source for attention. They have been using us to be submissive to them. They have been controlling us, they have been manipulating us, they have been gaslighting us. And when people tell us to just, why did you not move on earlier, why did you not leave earlier, or why or we should move on, we should not hang on to the trauma, what we are hearing is, what we hear as victims of abuse is that our trauma, our suffering is not significant enough to basically investigate, to basically deal with. Our our trauma is basically as insignificant as yesterday's newspaper, which has no value anymore. It needs to be trashed. Yes, after you deal with it, after we deal with it, after we after we accept that we are not responsible for the suffering that we've gone through, we can discard our trauma. After we learned and learn to strengthen ourselves through the trauma that we've gone through, we can discard it. And by asking people why they did not leave the situation earlier or in the beginning of the toxic relationship, why we have not seen the signs of toxicity from the in this person, that is because this person put up, our abuser has put up a wonderful mask that we believed, that we trusted, because we are trusting people, we are compassionate people, we are empathetic people, we are caring people. So we cared about them, we trusted them, and we expected them to be similar to us. We expected them to be caring, we expected them to be nourishing, we expected them to be equally emotional with us. We expected them to form an emotional bond. The thing is, we have formed an emotional bond with them while they have formed a parasitic bond with us. They are just sucking things out of us. We are their sources. They are just going to take what they want and leave when they want. They were not emotionally invested in this relationship. We were emotionally invested in this relationship. That is why we fall prey to abuse. That is why we hope that things get better, because we are emotionally invested. When people ask us why did we not leave earlier, because we trusted that person. We hope that situation gets better. And when people question our own ability to discern the situation by asking us why we did not leave the relationship earlier, we feel responsible for the abuse that we were in. We feel that we are not a good judge of character. We feel that we are the people, we are to blame for trusting this person. And when people tell us why don't we just move on, again, we feel that our trauma is not significant enough. We feel that our judgment is not fair. We feel that we are to blame. We feel that we are imposing on this person. We are taking up their time. We are being a burden on them. In the in the abusive relationship, we have been made. We They made us feel that we are a burden. They made us feel that they are the people who are carrying us. We are a burden. We are a dead weight. We don't contribute anything. And when we talk about our abuse to someone else, and they tell us that we just need to move on, we feel that we are burdening them with our trauma. We are burdening them with our problems. We are being an imposition on their time. So never say you should just move on, whether they are in an abusive relationship or talking about their past abusive relationship, with their parents, with their friends, with their partners, with their spouses, with their friends, anyone. And never question why they did not leave earlier. It does not help them, it does not support them, it does not heal them. It makes them depressive, it makes them fall into depression, it makes them question their own judgment, it makes them question themselves, it makes them feel responsible for their own suffering. Never, never make them feel responsible for their own suffering. They are not responsible for their suffering. We we are deserving of love that we did not receive. That is not our mistake. The mistake is that we trusted someone that was using us. But we were in a situation where we had to trust them. We did not trust them blindly. They were so manipulative, they were so good at putting a mask on that we fell prey. We are being abused, we were being abused, and we gathered our strength to leave the relationship. And people do not have the right to make us question ourselves for staying in an abusive relationship. There are various reasons why one might have lived in an abusive relationship even after realizing that it is abusive. It could be religious, it could be social, it could be family, it could be kids, it could be financial, it could be various reasons. No one has the right to question our or make us feel responsible for our suffering. No one has the right to question why we did not leave earlier. We have to protect our sanity, and we have to gather our strength to leave the relationship, and it takes time. That is why we stayed in the relationship for as long as we did. It's not because we wanted to, it's because it was inevitable. It because we had to gather strength, and we have to strengthen ourselves. We had to search for support. We have to gather support and protect ourselves and then leave. Not because we wanted to stay there, not because we did not realize it was abusive. It's because we had to gather strength and protect ourselves before we could leave the situation.